Okay, this is a special meeting in the city of Fort Scott, and we're going to start off with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Kelly's called this meeting, and I'm assuming we're, yeah, so we're in session. And Kelly, did you have something?
Yeah, we do have a kind of an expedient need out at the airport to get the. I'm going to start with the airport.
Seth is on his way.
Who?
Seth is on his way here.
Oh, okay. Well, we can kind of talk about it while he's getting here, and then he can confirm what I've said. But anyway, I didn't want to have him have to sit through if we go into executive session and things. So.
Is your mic on?
Yes. Okay. Yes, it is. Anyway, so let's go ahead and we'll look at. I want to walk you through the airport project.
Okay.
And Diane has made a packet. Now, on the top page, it gives you the project, and that's we're actually being funded, which is a huge blessing with FAA. Now we have our portion is going to be $266,500, and that's of a $2,280,654 project. Okay, so we still are looking at somewhere a little over 10%, right at a little over. But anyway, our portion is the 266. Now FAA is not going to cover the one of the hangars, the Wardcraft hangar. It's the apron on the Wardcraft hangar that they're not going to cover because it is a private hangar, and it's still under the kind of the lease until the 20 years is up that it actually is donated to the city. So
how much longer that lease is left, Kelly?
It's pretty close, but the funding is this year, and we have to let them know that it still it still doesn't belong to the city, so it still falls under private. So basically what they're saying is, since that's private, we can't get the FAA grant for the apron that goes into that hangar. We'd like to, the engineer has suggested that when we go ahead and pave the runway, that we go ahead and pave that portion, which would be $35,000 and $35,638.25. Now we have a total of grants and funding that we will have by the time we do the project of 288. Seth, come on up.
I thought you were too.
All right, where are we at?
We're at. I've just talked them through the total of the project itself, and the portion that we have to come up with is the 266,500.
Yes.
Okay, and anyway, and I talked them through the hangar being a private hangar, and that's how FAA will recognize it. Diane's going to hand out a sheet. That's the funding that we have available is the $287,569. So we'll be about $17,000 short.
Yes, and so I was just talking to Brian from Olson's right before I came here, and so he was saying that we still have a couple chances to make it eligible. So basically, the purpose of this is to find out if what you guys' decision on, if it is ineligible, how we proceed. So we are still trying, but we're on such a short time crunch that we're trying to find out what your opinion is before it goes. But they said that there is still a possibility because KDOT had did some studies before and they deemed it eligible. So we're kind of going at that angle also.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see and we discussed. You think the remaining lease is around 2 years?
Yes, I believe 2025 somewhere.
Right. I would hope that they would take that into consideration.
Well, has anybody approached Warcraft and said, hey, you've had all this, if you'll just terminate early, give it to us now, you can still stay there.
Well, this was posed to us yesterday afternoon, so we haven't really had time to. I've been blading runways and all that stuff, so I haven't. Yeah.
But I think that would make it work under their guidelines if they just sign it over.
Well, so what the FAA was saying, I don't know how much Kelly said before I got in here, but the FAA was saying because it is a single use, it doesn't matter if it's city owned or private owned because it's one hangar and it's a taxiway specifically to it. That's what the issue is. So the way Brian termed it was that if the FAA builds the road and they don't build the driveway, so they're considering that the driveway.
Sure. Because it's one hangar or one tenant?
Because it's one hangar. And now if there was two, like we have another taxiway that has two private hangars, but since there's two of them, it counts.
Mm-hmm. So what Seth is saying, it's possible that it's kickback for us to have to fund. So I told him since it's an individual project, it's kind of out of my price range to be able to say okie dokie on it. So it could be as much as 17,000 that we have to come up with beyond funds.
Even at that, I mean, it's still such a bargain.
Yeah, I agree.
Know, I don't think we could talk the county into doing it unless you want to have them overlay it. No, I think is it a mill and overlay? Is that what it's?
We are not doing a mill and overlay. It's just an overlay. They're going to do a 1 inch leveling and then a 2 inch overlay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of it. What Brian, our architect said, or engineer said, that with the cracks and some of the way that it's cracked and settled inward, that they're doing a 1 inch leveling, and then a 2 inch overlay to actually bring those cracks and some of that pitting up to level again.
Yeah, I get that. And this is just coming up because of just kind of an emergency deal. I mean, how did it?
Yes.
Well, we've been working on this project for several months now, but the FAA, we're at the 90% project design portion, and the FAA had questions, which I have here, and there's the only one that we really couldn't answer was this one that they're asking about. So it just got posed to us, and since we're on the timeline of trying to get the bids out and all that by the April 1st deadline, that's why we're in a rush.
Right. So have you talked to anybody with the FAA and told them about
this is what the FAA posed to the consultants, and then we had the discussion with the consultants yesterday. We were answering all these questions with the consultants, and then they're going back, and that's what I said. We're going to still try to get it eligible. But
so we haven't found an answer on this one.
No,
yet.
not yet.
Okay.
No.
So, but you're looking for action today.
Well, we needed kind of a consensus of where the commission is at on that. If you're okay
and the other thing I would add, I don't know if Kelly mentioned this or not, but if you look at the totals that Olson has provided us, these are all liberal estimates. So like if you look at the newspaper ad for $1,500, obviously that's not going to be what it is. So it's kind of padded so that the FAA will say, okay, we're good with this amount, but we hope it comes in lower. So we'll still have money.
Sure.
So we may not even need to spend the extra $17,000.
Well, my personal thought is, I don't think that it would be a problem as long as we got the monies and funds available. I mean, do we have money to?
Well, I think we can scrape up 17,000 somewhere. It's not really like it's 100,000 or such, but we did need to let you guys know that this is a possibility that we may have to put together some funds from somewhere else without, just pushing it on through and saying, okay, we can do this. There may be funds we may have to come up. Don't know with it. It may not, but just in case if it is, we needed to kind of. So with that,
I'd sure hate to miss out on an opportunity.
Right. But we didn't want to.
Right. No, this has nothing to do with the expansion.
This is to make it survive until you could expand.
322 meant for that?
Yes.
Our airport expansion funds meant for this. So if FAA comes in later and says, you're matching funds for airport expansion, what are we going to use?
That would be a project that's 8 to 10 years down the road. That's not.
Right.
Right now, the runway will not survive to a point that we could expand it. So we have to.
And I know they're working on. I know they've been working on a runway expansion at a different level than us. And so, do you have any total cost estimates on the runway expansion? Because I see
I believe it was like 8 to 10 million, something like that.
See, I thought it was 4 to 5.
The last number I heard before this whole new talk, I believe it was like about 8, or I think it was. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that one.
Yeah,
It's been many months since I've looked at that.
and the problem we run into with Josh is those figures are moving numbers anymore because of increases.
Yeah, like so if you look at the asphalt price last year, they were expecting about $80 a ton. Now they're going 120.
Right.
So they're estimating but they're hoping it won't be over 100.
But this fund was meant for this kind of
That's how Susan had set it up, was
for the rehabilitation of the current runway.
It was originally set for the runway expansion when we were going through it, and then when that kind of became tabled, since the runway was not going to last,
I know it's picked up steam in the last 6 months of the expansion, and so that's
yes,
what
but the runway won't survive to that point if we don't do this.
And at what point did we realize that?
I raised the flag about a year and a half to 2 years ago.
Was there any planning at that point?
At the time, we didn't have, because the FAA it's a very weird cycle, and you have to plan things a year to 2 years in advance. Like this project probably won't even go through till 2023 to be completed. So once I raised it, because they had and at that point when I raised it, I said, what are we going to do about the runway because it's not going. We were still in we're trying to expand phase, but then once that kind of died off and got tabled by the FAA, then that's when we kicked into the rehabilitation phase. So I started posing the question about a year and a half to 2 years ago, and it was about a year ago when it kind of changed direction.
Well, what we were provided here was under Fund 322 was for airport runway expansion, which
Yes.
was the project that's now been moved down the road. And we're wanting to take what's been allocated for expansion and apply to.
Well, that actually is your kicker. On the resurfacing. Yeah.
What do you think?
Are we looking at runway extensions, or we're talking about a $2,280,000 asphalt overlay?
This is just to preserve the existing runway that we have.
This
but
is the existing runway.
Yes, because
we have 4-inch asphalt base course. We have 2-inch asphalt partial depth pavement repair. Is that repairs that's going to be done in the existing runway?
to the current runway, yes.
I mean, this seems to be a humongous sum of money for an asphalt overlay.
It is a lot of money, that's for sure. But do you have to consider that for regular roads and that sort of thing, they're not up to the FAA standards, so you have to have a certain type of asphalt and everything. Otherwise,
where would that asphalt come from?
Kelly, you have better answer for that than me.
They'll probably have to set up a portable batch plant. I don't think that there's the contractor, and that's what our engineers are looking at, is that they don't feel like we probably have a local contractor that runs this kind of mix.
So that's where the $200,000 mobilization comes in. Then.
Yes.
That's to bring in
A portable batch plant.
Wow.
And I don't think this was provided to Diane with these, but you can look at the status of the runway. There's quite large cracks and holes, and because it took so long trying to go through the runway expansion portion that it should have already been done with the resurfacing and stuff, but it hadn't at that point. But so now we're behind schedule. That's why I was saying earlier that to try to get the runway expansion completed, one, it's going to take a long time, but two, it wouldn't last to the point that it could even get started.
I mean, if we hold off till next Tuesday and meet again, how big a deal is that?
They may miss their window on. That's kind of why we wanted to get it before you and ahead of time. Is because they may miss their
so-
window. on-
Just got this
I've-
yesterday? You
Well,
just got these numbers yesterday?
Yeah.
we just got them yesterday. So here's a brief timeline. So we're trying to make the February 26th to put it in the paper to advertise for bids, so that we have our 3-week window, and we can open bids March 24th to 25th, and then we will be able to meet our April 1st deadline to apply for the grant.
So if we meet next Tuesday, the 22nd, we should still be within them deadlines.
22nd, 20. Yeah, he said it'd take
Mhm.
approximately 3 to 4 days, so we could.
I mean,
I would assume that we
I know
could.
I just want to make sure we're still within that thing. I would like to it's a big project. I just want to make sure everything's. And if you for sure it ain't gonna hold nothing up. just
I can get back to you on that, but I don't think it should be, because he said advertised by the 26th, and he said what, 3 to 4 days. So
Yeah.
if you have a decision by the 22nd, I feel like that should be the time.
Well, and even if you found out different, just call Callie, let him know, and we'll gather again.
Yeah.
We don't have a problem with that. But like you said, you're giving us quite a bit of information to
Well, this
digest.
will give you some time to look at review.
Right.
And, yeah.
You don't meet again till March the 1st.
Well, we're
That-
having a
We have a work session on
Yeah.
the 22nd. So we,
Yeah, we could
Okay.
do it in front
Yeah,
of
because
that.
we talked about that yesterday, and when it was March 1st, and so that's why we were trying to sneak it in on this one.
So
Yeah.
I'll just make a motion to table this until
That's- yeah.
next Tuesday
Okay.
before the work. We'll have a special meeting
That works.
before the work session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Well, let me ask a question. What's the benefit of tabling it? What are we gonna accomplish?
Gives me time to look over and ask some questions to some other people.
Same with me.
It's a $2.4 million project. It's $300,000 out of our money. I just have a few concerns and a few questions that I have people in this area I can rely on, and I'd like to ask a few questions to them. It kind of goes back also, Pete, where we talked about, having a little bit of time to discuss and think about things before you make a. And I guess the flip side, that's what's the downside of waiting until Tuesday.
Well, I think that, that's probably a good idea, but are we on a really, really critical time frame, or?
It is a critical time frame, but I guess the thing I'm thinking of right in my head, and it's clearly your call, but you guys have already approved the $265,000 to go for the grant, so you're already at that. The real decision we're here is, do we want to spend the money on that 100-foot of taxiway or whatever it is? So that's the real kicker in your mind, I guess you need to contemplate.
Yeah, I would think, here again, we're dealing with the federal government. We're dealing with federal government guidelines, or rules, regulations. There's only one engineering firm that we can use that will put up with this, and we've got it. This is our engineering firm that we've had through the whole thing.
Yes,
I
we're
don't see-
required every 5 years to select, and then once we select within that 5 years the project, we can choose not to use them if we want to, but we've already obviously committed to a lot of money spending on them. So if you're wanting to switch, that'd be a lot of money. We're more than $17,000.
But once again, Tuesday's not going to affect you.
I don't believe so. No.
No, we have a working session in here next Tuesday anyway.
Roll. Pete Allen,
No.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Kevin Allen.
Yes. Thanks for coming in, Seth.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Okay, up next on the agenda is discussion of sale lake properties.
Yeah, we need an executive session for attorney-client privilege.
How long?
Probably 10 minutes, 15.
Sure.
10.
All right, so I'll
10
move the
minutes.
city commission recesses an executive session for attorney-client privilege pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception, KSA 75-4319B2, and the meeting will be the 5 commissioners, the city manager, the city attorney, for 10 minutes. An open meeting will resume in the city commission room.
Second.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Kevin Allen.
Yes.
make the motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Yes.
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 All right. I move the city commission recess in executive session for the purpose of attorney-client privilege pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception in KSA 754319B2. 5 commissioners, the city attorney, and the city manager. Just need, since Kevin will be in a few, I need 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. Second.
Yes.
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 Yes.